For Leah O'Rourke, Jenny Joyce was the dream role.
My mum came home, I told her, and I remember us jumping up and down around the kitchen island like 2 agents. But I felt really comfortable. I was like, I know what this character is, definitely. Like,
I've witnessed Leah's growth as an actor firsthand, from our early collaborations all the way up to her starring in last year's full-scale production of TaxiJo. So how did Leah land a starring role on the iconic Derry Girls? And what was it like to play such a great character? Find out on this latest edition of The Scene. Okay, Leah, so why acting?
I loved acting from a very young age, and I remember being in a primary school play, playing a tambourine, had the best time, and I was sent to New Point Youth Drama Group, which is a drama group in our hometown, where you rehearse a play over a summer and perform it in the September. And I did that for 5 years, and I really enjoyed it. And I remember even in primary 7, we had to write a thing about our hopes for the future, and I was writing that I hoped I'd be on TV and I hoped I'd be an actor. So it's just something I've always wanted to do.
You know, what gave you that inspiration to go into acting?
We have an aunt and uncle that are actors, so it just seemed like a normal career choice for me. I didn't see it as anything different. Like in school, and people were like, oh, I want to be a teacher, I want to be this. I just was like, I want to be an actor, and I just seen it as a possibility. I think for me, because I'm quite a shy person, that I got to see through other people's eyes, and it gives me great confidence to play other people that aren't me. And even when I think about what I would do if I wasn't an actor, there's so many different jobs. I'd be like, oh, I'd love to be a beautician, I'd love to do this. But now as an actor, I get to experience all of those many different things, and that's something that I really like doing.
Funny, you just touched on something there that I found interesting. I sort of experienced a bit myself, you know, when I'm making videos or creating things, and then you do the TaxiJo stuff and that, and it's like when you make something like that, it's like it's quite a therapeutic process to express yourself in a different way. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's like when people meet me, and they've seen all the TaxiJo videos, they meet me and they're quite surprised, you know, because you don't go on like TaxiJo. In life, says sometimes I personally would struggle to articulate what goes on in my head sometimes, and that is what's drawn me to filmmaking, to visual storytelling, and then that outlet is just something different for me. Is that like you when it comes to acting? Yeah,
completely. And like I relate to what you said there, like even when you meet like comedians, you know, like even the likes of Tommy Tiernan, you expect him to be like comedy, blah, all the time, and he's quite quiet, and it takes you by surprise, like how different you can be when you're like exploring someone else or creating this art and like being like who you are in the moment, like. So
yeah, and it works the other way as well. So like people that are really, really funny in real life, sometimes if you put them on stage with a microphone, they'll just freeze, you know.
Exactly.
So it's weird, that sort of thing, that balance, isn't it?
Like, it really is.
So what's your process then for if you're acting and you're becoming a character or whatever? What way do you prepare for that? Because every actor has their own way of doing it. Yeah,
like at drama school we were taught like loads of different things. So there was lots of questions like, where have I come from? What have I done? La 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 la. I always try at my best related to personal experience. And like if there's a role where I'm having like something upsetting happen, like try and get into it, remembering how I felt when I was in a similar situation. And with Jenny Joyce, it was quite easy because I went to an all-girls Catholic school, and it was called Our Ladies, and the school in Derry Girls called Our Ladies. So I knew that, and it was coming from, oh, I know what this person is. I know who she is exactly because I've lived the all-girls convent school life. So I'm always trying to be truthful in relating it to something that I've gone through myself. And then like in our acting for film classes at drama school, they were like, you have to really feel it here, and don't worry, the truth will come out. And it's a hard thing to explain how to do it, but I know when I'm feeling it and when I'm not. And even in a take, I'm like, I felt it there, I know it'll be okay. It's
like having a disconnect from just saying the words, isn't it?
Yeah.
And removing that thought.
Yes, that voice.
Yeah. You know, of like trying to recite something and to become something. Mm-hmm. It's something that comes over time, and then there's certain days you feel more inspired to do it maybe than certain other, and then sometimes something comes to you
Yeah.
before a take or during a take that just takes you by surprise, maybe takes the director by surprise, and can take a scene in an interesting way, you know?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, so early days then, what was your early acting experiences like then?
Well, I went to New Point and absolutely loved it. And I look back on it as such, like, sort of an idyllic time. Like, I remember going to Timony's ice cream, like, on our lunch breaks, meeting other people who wanted to do drama and felt like I belonged. And that was brilliant. And also I remember my dad was into, like, technology and he had a camera and all. Now, back then it wasn't anything fancy. But I used to love putting on shows, so I'd get him to film like this when I was no age, like, and I'd make tea towels into costumes and all. So I was just...
And where do you think all that came from? Because a lot of our childhood, for you know, when we had our get-togethers and stuff, you know, particularly when Pauline got involved, we would always do, or Auntie Pauline, would always do like little plays and stuff, wouldn't we? And you know, those things were always set up, you know, and it sort of seemed to shape our pathways in a way, didn't it? Like, it
definitely did. And like, Pauline's now drama teacher in St. Paul's, and she still has a costume chest in her house, and if I go to stay, we'll still, like, I shouldn't even be admitting this, what age am I? We still, like, will dress up and, like, do our party pieces and have the crack, and I think, that definitely shaped us growing up. And
do you remember the family get-togethers that used to be up in Granny and Granddad's house, and everybody would get together and stuff?
Yeah.
Do you remember they always generally broke into some sort of performance, didn't they?
Definitely.
Like, there was always a sing song.
Yeah.
There was always some sort of acting thing would break out, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just always happened, wouldn't it?
Always did. And remember the Wizard of Oz?
Oh, yes. We done the Wizard of Oz,
We done a performance of that, like, because a lot of families would have party pieces, but I was like, I don't know any other family that's actually made a full-scale production of the Wizard of Oz, just for the crack. Do you know what I mean?
And what type of acting were you drawn to? Like, was it theatre? Was it films? Was it something on TV? Or
at acting school, I didn't know I would, like, end up being in comedies at all. I loved everything. Like, I loved the Shakespeare. One of my first auditions out of drama school was to play Juliet, and I got recalled. So I thought I'd be like more like sort of serious. Well, in my final showcase, it was a comedy scene, and when I met with an acting agent after, they were like, "You're a comedy actor, definitely." And I remember taking it by surprise. I didn't think I would be, and then I was in Derry Girls, and even with my audition tapes now, I'd always show like my mum and dad before I sent it off. And I did one recently and they were like, that's comedy and that is definitely your thing. Like, so I wasn't drawn to anything in particular. I was keeping a real open mind. And I haven't done any professional theatre since drama school, and that's not choice. It's just the way my auditions have come and what path I've taken. But I'd be definitely open-minded about trying something different as well.
So you went to drama school in London?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do that?
I did a film like that Karen was involved in. Remember when I was 16, that film and your dad was in it?
It was like
like a low budget sort of film. And off the back of that, I thought, I could probably get an acting agent and become an actor. So I wrote to loads of casting agents and stuff and never heard anything. And I was like, God, I'm not getting my foot in the door. I wonder why not.
But yeah, everybody experiences the same thing. When I remember when I left university and I just thought I was going to conquer the world, you know, and then life just sort of turns out, no, you're not going to conquer the world.
Yeah,
you know, you have to work in a bar for a while.
Yes,
you know what I mean. You have to earn your stripes, type of thing.
You do, and I found that really hard because I was like, I thought I wasn't getting an agent because I didn't have a show reel, but now I'm in a film and I'm still not getting anything. So I was like, maybe it's because I'm not a trained actor, I'm being to drama school. But you don't necessarily need that. I'm not like preaching you all have to go to like acting school, because I know so many amazing actors that never went. But that was my reason, and I was like, maybe. But then the same thing happened when I left drama school. I was like, now I'm a trained actor, where's all my big parts? And it was 7 years until I got Derry Girls. It's a tough gig, like.
And then it's like, I think if people, let's say people have had disappointments or whatever, or, you shouldn't look at it, take it to heart, or you shouldn't look at it like it's a competitive sport.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like you go, oh, I did this, I deserve that.
Yeah.
There's so much luck involved in film and TV. Like, so much luck. I mean, you need to be in the right place at the right time to land that role. You could the best actor of all time nobody may have ever heard of them because he just didn't get that break. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's so true.
You know, so you can't take all that to heart. You just have to keep trying. And then good things will eventually happen once, you know, you keep putting yourself out there and keep giving yourself the most opportunities.
Exactly. And like, I think you have to remember the love of the art is why you're doing it. It's not, oh, I wanted like 1 million followers and da, because there's people that are working consistently as actors that you might not know their name, but they're doing what they love and that's what they wanted. And
that's another good point. You should always not lose sight of why you're in it, and not look at...
Yeah, which is hard in this day and age. Totally, to compare yourself to other people and to worry and all.
What did you learn then at drama school? What was beneficial to you by going to drama school?
Well, there was many different classes. So there was like acting through body, acting for screen, lots of different things. So I suppose I developed a confidence in different genres. There was like comedy classes, lots of different things. So I developed the confidence and I met people, made contacts, and then off the back of it, I did get my acting agent. So that was a major thing for me. Like, we had a showcase in front of agents, which I wouldn't have had an opportunity like that had I not gone. So it was a really positive experience for me, and great to have made like friends at acting school that go through the same struggles as you coming out, and people that understand, and to see the joy when somebody in the class gets their break and stuff. So it was a lovely experience. So
what technical things do they teach you about acting?
Yeah, so for example, in our acting for screen classes, the stuff you do is mad. So it is mad. Like, so
you're in the right place. Okay. Mad is, I love mad. So continue.
So we'd have like a teacher hold our arms and legs down and put the camera on our face and be like, you're not allowed to act anything, it has to come through the eyes. All like, you did things like that, like, and it was mad how it worked as well, because you have nowhere to go and it comes out like it's...
So if you had shifty eyes, they would know. I suppose it might have been a way to spot out the creepy people in the class, was it?
I probably didn't explain that very well. I think it was more like, you know, if you were doing like an emotional scene.
No, I get it. No, you're acting with your eyes. I was just joking there.
Yeah. And like, there was this like class where we had to swear, like, and they were like, this will open up your vocal cords, we're in a safe space and all. So he's like, whenever you feel it, just start swearing as much as you can and stuff. And I started swearing and going mad, but nobody else did. It was just like pure silence in the room. And
I love to see. I don't think I've ever seen you do that.
No. I was like, someone has to get the ball rolling with this. I'll start, but like nobody joined in, and it was just like the most awkward thing ever. So,
sounds like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm or something.
Yeah.
You're stopping at the end.
It's like, my friends like from drama school still bring that up. So there'd be mad things that happen.
Let's fast forward then to Derry Girls. What was the audition process like?
So initially I was auditioning for one of the main gang, and the first audition, they did first round auditions in Belfast and London. I was living in London at the time, and it was really chill. The first audition I went in, it was just like one camera set up, a casting director, casting assistant, and I had a script to prepare from Derry Girls and performed it. And I remember being raging at myself because I forgot the lines, and I never forget the lines. So the whole time I left, I was like, well, that's that. I messed the lines up. Like, then that was in the October, I think, of 2016. And then I never heard back. And then it was January. I got an email saying I was still being considered and would have come in for a call back for that part. So I went back again, had a call back, and there was more people there. I think maybe Lisa and Mike were there redirecting and stuff. And then I heard back to say, right, you through to the third round, which is the chemistry read. And Jenny wasn't talked about at this stage. I was still one of the main gang. But when I got to the chemistry, there was a couple of girls like whittled down for the parts. So they were swapping Erin's in and out and swapping Claire's in and out. And I met Nicola Coughlin, who played Claire, and I was originally up for that part as well. And I seen her and I was like, oh my God, she is exactly what I think Claire would be. And I kind of knew, I was like, right. And then that day, all the girls went for drinks afterwards to this pub, and I thought, oh, some of us aren't going to get the part, and it's going to be, I'll be sad if I've bonded with everyone and I don't get it. So I didn't go. I was like, no, listen guys, I'll maybe see you again. I hope everyone does well. It was hard because everyone wanted everyone to do well, but they wanted the part too. So I left that day, and then I got an email saying, Ollie, you didn't get that part, but we have something else in mind you might be right for. Will you do a tape for Jenny Joyce? So this was like 3 auditions in. I was like, oh, this is my last chance to be in Derry Girls. I have to like give it my all.
Well, so before, like, did you read a full script? Or were you just given lines or scenes that you had to audition for?
So we were just given audition scenes and like sort of a basic character sort of like breakdown, like
And so even from that early stage, did you really want to be involved in the show?
Yeah, I read the script and I was laughing out loud. I was laughing out loud at that audition scene. I goes, this is hilarious. And the way it was written, like, you know, the way we speak, like, you know, because it's from here. I instantly felt comfortable, like I didn't have to like put on an accent or anything, and then it was so funny and like so relatable as well.
That was the big thing with Derry. You know, when I was watching it, it just felt like so much of it felt like our childhoods, didn't it? You know, with all the 90s nostalgia involved, and even the way all the adults went on and stuff. It's just like, I remember this.
Yeah,
thing,
I know.
You know?
And it was surreal to have that, because it was all like already said it was going to be a television series and it was going to be Channel 4, like hat trick and all. Like I was like, this is surreal, like a show from here is going to be on Channel 4, like that's class. And even like mum and dad were like, are you sure? Like I was like, yeah, no, definitely. So then because when you're like an actor, like people sometimes think you just talk away in la la land, like, yeah, Leah's going to be in a big Channel 4 show. Yeah, do you know, like what then I did my tape with my 2 friends for Jenny Joyce, and then eventually got an email saying I got the part, and I was on cloud 9. So I remember like I found out when I was on my own in the house, and I was waiting for everyone to come home so I could tell them. I didn't know what to tell. I was just like waiting. And then when Mum came home, I told her, and I remember us jumping up and down around the kitchen island like 2 agents. But I felt so much more comfortable with Jenny Joyce than I did for my first 3 auditions. I felt really comfortable. I was like, I know what this character is, definitely, like. And I was just delighted it worked out the way it did. So
have you met a Jenny Joyce in your life? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think I've met several Jenny Joyces, definitely. Like Our Ladies in Newry would be full of Jenny Joyces, like, you know. And it wasn't one specific person. It wasn't like, oh, I'm basing this on this girl I met. It was just like a series of different things. Like, because even in our school, if there was like school open day, there'd be the certain girls picked, you know, oh, here are the best dancers, they can showcase the school. And I just took elements of all of that, and I was like, oh, Jenny Joyce would definitely do that, Jenny Joyce would do this. And so it was very easy to like relate to. But
that's the key to any great comedy character, is we feel like we've met them before.
Yeah.
You know, and that was definitely the case with Jenny Joyce. And I think everybody's had someone in their class in school that can just relate to that, you know. Yeah. So how did the plays come about? You remember, all the shows that Jenny Joyce put on in the school? That became like a real set piece in the show then, and it was how did that all come about? Was that in the design of the show very early on, or like did you do one and did Lisa and Michael look at it and go, this is great, we'll put more of them in the future seasons? You know what I mean? Was it in the early stages, the elements of the character? No, whenever I first read the script, that very first scene that Jenny Joyce is in, where she welcomes the students to the school and there's like a flower puppet and all, that was written in the script as drama student 1, drama student 2, so it wasn't anything to do with Jenny Joyce. And then I don't know whether like Lisa just in a whim was like, oh, maybe Jenny would do that there, Jenny will just put her in doing it. And I don't know, I can't say. I think maybe because the
first singing scene was so brutal. They weren't expecting it to be as bad as that. That it was funny that they were like, oh, maybe we'll keep this as a recurrent thing. But I can't say for sure if it was. But only because I've seen in the script that it was drama student 1, drama student 2, I was like, oh, I don't know if this was originally a thing. Like Jenny singing and performing at every opportunity. So I think it was they took a chance on like, oh, we'll see, and then it worked out okay.
But then that happens, you know, when you're making a show or you're writing a show or whatever, and you see the strengths of the performers, and then, you know, like when Derry Girls was written initially, obviously they didn't know who were going to play all the roles. But then once like they got a season out of the way, then all of a sudden you know the strengths of all the actors you're involved in. You can start writing to their strengths, which then becomes a really interesting thing, doesn't it?
No, definitely.
What was it like then? She had a great relationship in the show with Siobhan. She was outstanding in and she won a BAFTA, didn't she? And I've had the pleasure of working on Derry Girls, the first series and the third series. And she was such a lovely lady, wasn't she? And she was so good in the show, but it was the way that she was very dismissive of Jenny Joyce was so funny because you weren't expecting it. You know when you've got a kiss-ass student in the class, normally the teacher likes that. But it was so refreshing to see like Siobhan just roll her eyes constantly at it. What was it like to work with her?
Absolutely loved working with Siobhan. Like, she is so funny, but she's so funny, I'm sure you'll agree, like, Gino, like on screen and off screen. Like, even if you're on a night out or having the crack with her stories are hilarious. She's just so naturally funny, and I love the scenes with her, and they cracked everybody up. Like, you know, I get quoted at me all the time, the scene where Jenny Joyce goes and tells on the gang on the school trip, and then like, oh, you'll not be well like Jenny, you know, when Siobhan like puts me down.
That is one of the most quotable lines of the whole show, isn't it? I hear it all the time. People even saying it to each other. It's like a reference from the show.
Yeah, definitely. So like loads of her lines dismissing Jenny are just iconic, but she is so funny, just hilarious, and the loveliest person to work with. And
did you think the show was going to be a hit when you were first working on it?
I really, really thought it was hilarious. I was like, this is class, this is brilliant. Like, I knew it was. But even Lisa herself thought it would have like a small sort of cult following. She didn't expect it to be like, it's worldwide now on worldwide Netflix and stuff. Like, I don't think anybody could have expected that.
Nobody could have seen the size it got to.
No.
But like Martin Scorsese and Simpsons referencing it and stuff. But I remember working on Series 1. It was so different working on Series 1 to Series 3 because Series 1 it was just like, you know, there was no, because it wasn't big yet, it was just like going to work. Whereas Series 3 it was like, oh, I'm working on Derry Girls, you know, but there was a buzz around it because everybody knew how big the show was. But even in season 1, when I was seeing some of the scenes play out and all, I just thought this is going to be a hit. Because I remember my dad was working on it too, and we did think this is going to be a hit because it really, there's something very universal about a lot of it. The In-Betweeners is a comparison it gets all the time. I think it's a different show to that completely, but you could see where the audience was going to come from, in my opinion. You know, there's a lot of universal stuff in it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, but it's a weird mix because it's so universal, but it was so niche. Like, if somebody else said it's an all-girls Catholic school, this is what it's about, you would have been like, what? It's so random. Yeah,
but ultimately the stuff about angst, you know, the female angst growing up as a child, you know, that everybody can relate to that, you know. And then I think the Derry aspect of it was like, it was like a real exotic aspect to it for people watching in England, whereas they wouldn't have heard Derry accents. And Derry accents are they sound so cool, you know. They sound really good on camera and suit comedy, you know. So you can see why, you know, English people watching it was so fresh to them, you know, and why it sort of took off over there.
Yeah, definitely. And like, it was a real like truthful portrayal of the troubles that you don't often see. Do you know, like even Aunt Sarah being like, oh, I can't get to my spray tan now, that bomb on the thing. And it was very brave of Lisa to just be like, this is my experience of it, and put it out there, do you know?
The best thing about all that was the stuff about the troubles in the show was it wasn't the front. It was like it was like a part of the everyday life of the characters.
Yeah.
So it wasn't sensationalized in the show. Do you know what I mean? It was just seen as a normal thing.
Yes.
And it was a lovely backdrop for the show without putting focusing too much attention to it.
Yeah.
And then you had elements to it where it worked very well comedically. You remember with the Orange March and all, and the girls were all stuck in the car when there's an Orange March around the car and stuff, you know. So it was utilised clever from a comedic sense, but also it wasn't pushed too far to the centre.
Yes.
The centre of the show was all about the relationship between the girls, wasn't it? Ultimately?
No, definitely. Like, it just struck the right balance, definitely.
There was like a richness to the world in Derry Girls, wasn't there, that you wouldn't get in a lot of sitcoms, in the sense that, you know, in most sitcoms, in a sitcom you have a story starting and ending in every episode. Mm-hmm. And it's always in and around between 4 and 6 characters. So in a lot of sitcoms in the past, you wouldn't have had as rich a world built up. But in Derry Girls, you had the whole parents. It feels like in Derry Girls there could be loads of spin-offs because there's so much richness in the world with all the characters.
Yeah,
you know, like
definitely.
For Jenny Joyce, you could imagine Jenny Joyce having her own show. You could going back, you could imagine the parents having their own show.
Yeah.
You know, because you could see even with Jenny Joyce and the parties, and even her parents are introduced and all.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a never-ending size to it. You know, what was that? What was that like? Reading a show like that with all that, you know, like when you're preparing for Jenny Joyce, it must have been beneficial for you to see all those characters and how they all connected to Jenny Joyce's world, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, the different characters were brilliant, and what I loved about it was so hard to pick a favourite, because I was like, oh, Aunt Sarah's my favourite. No, Sister Michael's my favourite. No, do you know, Uncle Colin, every character was hilarious and just amazing in their own right. So it really was brilliant. Like,
did you ever think about where Jenny Joyce would go after school? Would you ever think about, you know, what would you do? What sort of job she would be in?
Yeah,
or whatever?
I did definitely think, like, I think she would have followed, because her dad was a surgeon, so I was like, she'd have to be applying for medicine or something really, like, up there. Do you know what I mean? Law or medicine. I think she would definitely do. Yeah, I did picture her life a wee bit outside of school. Like, imagine her, like, having her wee study group with her friend, like Becky's character Aisling, sitting reading their books and all. Like,
I loved her parents in it.
Yeah.
And you just go, yeah, that's Jenny Joyce's parents.
Yeah.
And I love the relationship between the mum and the dad.
Yeah.
You know, and she was in one episode, she kept mentioning what his job was to everybody.
Yes.
And that's exactly what Jenny Joyce is.
One would do.
Is that beneficial then when you see stuff or you read stuff like that for your character as well?
Yeah, no, it's definitely to know the world she came from. And then even I know you were there that night, you know, where it filmed in Jenny's house, to even see, this is where she lives. Oh, yeah, you know, it definitely helps you get into the role more, and knowing her dad's a surgeon, and the way her mum goes on and all. And the casting was perfect for that. Like, they got it just, the casting was brilliant throughout for all of the characters. Like,
the show was reminded me a bit of The Simpsons. You know, the way it's just so many characters in a world, you know. So back to the plays then. Was there a lot of rehearsals went into doing those?
What would happen with the plays was they let me and Becky, who played Aisling, figure it out and then present what we had, and then Mike and Lisa would like add bits on or go, oh, it's more like that, you know. So we always brought the bones of it, and we had great crack coming off of it. But it was definitely funny when like supporting artists had to be involved, and we had to explain, oh, this is our play and this is what you guys are doing.
They're in your arena now, and you start going, no, you know, you probably find yourself turned into Jenny Joyce and you're directing all these people.
No, I was like, God love them, they just want to have an easy life, stand assembly and get like £100 a day or whatever, and they're like, oh, now they're on stage being bossed about to stand singing out of tune and acting and all. But they were very good. They gave us like, for the play about the Troubles, they let us have the stage and had like a crew member with us, and they were like, right, you do your own thing and then just show us what you have come up with. So we all came up with it, and then everyone pitched in ideas, And most of the time they're like, yeah, they're happy with it. Like,
I'd say with a show too, I'd say a big challenge for the last season, because there was so much in it. There was so much richness in the storytelling, and the scale of the episodes were a lot more ambitious than previous seasons, was to fit it all into 24, 25 minutes, because there was even great stuff that didn't make it onto the show, like do you remember the Stars in Your Eyes episode?
Yeah.
And there was loads of performers, and they could only just, because of time, they could only, because you did a full reenactment of the Shakespeare sister. It was fantastic. What was it like doing that? You were all dressed up and all, you come out of the coffin.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like?
That was brilliant. That was like just great fun. I absolutely loved the costume and all, but it was very nerve-wracking. Like, for me, like, definitely, I'm not a singer, so it was so I know Jenny isn't either, like, so it's fine, but you still have nerves. And then with being on the coffin and all, I had to be like put in the coffin and lifted off onto the platform, and then sometimes they'd play it through with, like, we had the track pre-recorded and we just mouthed along, and other times you were singing it live, like, but no, it was brilliant. The whole staging of that was brilliant, and the lighting and everything.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, Gino, and all. It looked unreal, like.
Yeah, I loved about the corniness to all them things. That takes you back to school, you know.
Yeah.
There was a play you did, and it was sort of like a mime artist thing about the Troubles. Do you remember that last one? And you were just like pretending to stab people, and they're dropping and all. And then you were coming out with these, these slogans of "Don't be fighting" or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Well, again, I remember even watching the rehearsals for that and all. It must have been so much fun doing all that, wasn't it?
It was, and especially with me having been to like GCSE drama and all. Do you know, like, that was just like that. But I was in my element, like, absolutely loved it, and but they just really went all out. Everything was spot on. Like, even like they matched our outfits too, like the Shakespeare sister outfits perfectly and stuff. And I remember, like, the costume was so spot on. Even the costume, Kathy, who did the costume, was like, "Oh, you're in the coffin, you won't see those amazing trousers and all," you know.
Yeah.
No, it was amazing.
But the costume design on the show was amazing, wasn't it?
Really, really
and again,
brilliant.
that just took you back.
It did.
There's such a great atmosphere, isn't there? Everybody's in great form. Everybody's in great mood.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Different genres can create different atmospheres on set, can't they?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, it was just a great buzz the whole time, and like there was so many things that happened, like maybe not even part of the script, that were just hilarious. Like, you know, I remember doing that play about the Troubles, and we had like supporting artists playing teachers, and they hadn't seen it before, and there was a pause of silence in the middle, and they thought it was over, and they all started clapping, you know, in the take, and I was like, what do I do? Do I keep going or not? Like, you know, there was so many moments like that, like, where, like, it's just hilarious. And I remember another time where we were filming in Belfast, and Siobhan's line was like, "Welcome to Derry," but because we were filming in Belfast, like, "Welcome to Belfast." And they were like, "Oh, Siobhan, we have to go again." And I was like, "Why? What was wrong with it?" You know, like, so it was just like so many funny things that happened. Like, and one of my costume shoes, Snap Knife, slipped off the stage once, but it was in front of like the assembly hall and the crew and everything. Yeah.
There was a great scene. I remember being there and this is again another great example of how the characters mesh so well together. A great character to mesh with your one is Michelle.
Yeah.
Because of how different she is. She is the polar opposite of Jenny Joyce. So there was an episode where she was trying to be posh, or she was trying to be higher class, if you like, or whatever. She was trying to fit in with Jenny. So you were talking about going skiing or something, and she was trying to fit in with that.
Yeah.
That scene, I remember watching that scene, and it's just in stitches, you know, off camera, constantly all the takes.
Yeah.
What was that like to shoot? There was Cool Runnings references and different things, wasn't there?
Yeah, I loved that. I loved any scene with Michelle, because I had to like bite my cheeks not to laugh, because like.
But she's so naturally funny, isn't she? She's got so much energy that just when she starts doing her thing, it just comes straight out at you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like, I remember watching her. There was like, they asked her to do different versions of, she was disgusted by the priest swiping his hair or something, and she's like, "Oh, look at his hair." Oh, and she did different faces for each thing, and I was literally like crying, laughing at it. Like, she's so funny. So that Cool Runnings thing was hilarious, and I loved the assemblies where she's shouting, like, you know, abuse up at Jenny, like, she's like, I'm the theme queen, as if you are, or whatever. She's shouting back, like, she was so funny. Yeah, she was like in that scene with the wee pinky out being like, tally ho, and all.
She was so out of her comfort zone as a character doing that, wasn't she? And that's why that scene worked so well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like, she's absolutely brilliant.
So were you a Jenny Joyce at school?
I often denied this, but the more I think about it, maybe. I have a lot of similarities to Jenny Joyce in terms of like love a theme, love a party, love organising things, but I wasn't like to her extreme. Like, I would never go telling tales on people, and I definitely wasn't the centre of like every assembly. I was sort of more in my own wee gang in school in the background. Went through like one wee rebellious phase in school, but apart from that, like, I knuckled down and got on okay. But I'd be wrong to say I'm totally not Jenny Joyce, because I have an element of Jenny in there, definitely.
Great sitcoms over the years tend to like live forever. You know, you see them on GOLD or people replay them all the time. Friends is still like one of the most streamed shows on Netflix. So what's it like to be a part of a show like Derry Girls that's just constantly going to be played year after year after year? What's it like to be a part of a show that's going to live forever, effectively?
This is what I've always dreamed of, like being on TV and being part of a show like that. It really is special. It's amazing. And like, I met with a cast member of Derry Girls on a film I did last week. He played one of the Protestant fellas in like where they come together and meet the Protestants, the Catholics meeting the school trip. And he was saying to me, "Oh, Derry Girls, such a long time ago now." He was in series 2. He's like, "Oh, 5 years ago." And to me, it doesn't feel like 5 years ago. I think because people come up to me and talk to me about it all the time, that it feels fresh, like it feels like so recent. And it's only when I sit down and think about it, like, God, 2016 when I did my first audition, that is quite a long time ago now. Like, so I think it's always going to stay fresh, and like, it is special that it'll always be there. Like,
was it sad to see the end of Derry Girls?
It was very sad. Like, it hit me sort of when I hung up the school uniform. Like, whenever I took it off the end of that filming day, I'm like, I'm not going to put that on again, do you know? And saying bye to everybody, because it was such a big part of our life. And then when I did my first acting job since Derry Girls recently, I didn't expect to find it so strange, because I didn't realise I got so used to that director, so used to that crew, so used to that cast, that it was like, oh, this is different, do you know? So it was very sad, but it ended at the right time, and I'm glad Lisa, I think she did the right thing when it did, because we're, ended on a high before people got sick of it, ending it before we got too old for the uniforms, which we already were pushing it. Like, I think it ended at the perfect time.
It was a great way to end the show with those specials, wasn't it? You know, and in terms of the timeline, and it felt like it was like the end of the Troubles effectively coincided storyline wise with the end of the show, which was a very clever way to end things. It was like the start of a new beginning for everybody, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was.
Why did you get your dancers on early in the year on RTE?
I had nothing really, like, I had nothing coming up. I was asked to do this. I was like, right, my diary is clear. I was so 50-50 on it, because I was like, I know I'm not a good dancer, like, this is not going to be good. But then I thought, it's an opportunity to try something different. And I wasn't sure myself if I would have the balls to do it. And I was like, I want to really see if I can do this. So I moved to Dublin and gave it a go.
You gave it an almighty rattle. What was the experience like? Because you pretty much held your hands up the whole time and said, I can't dance here. Yeah. So what was that whole experience like when you're practicing all week? Did the professional that was with you, did they have the patience of a saint?
Yeah, he had the patience of an absolute saint. He was brilliant, and he was so like nice to me, because I kept being like, I'm so sorry you got paired with me. I'm so sorry you got paired with me. He was like, no, Leah, this is good for me, because I own a dance school, and it shows to me that I can teach. If you can go out there and do a dance, like, this is good for me. It's a challenge for me. And he was so positive like the whole time. Like, but the whole live aspect of it was very scary for me because I'm used to Derry Girls and we get to do a retake, and I was like, it can't be live. Surely we get to do 3 or 4 takes of this dance. But it was like, or like, you know, even running a wee bit behind, like it was live, and that was very scary because there was one time where my 2 dress runs before the live went catastrophically wrong. Like I had like, it was like a school sort of thing dance, and I had like a blackboard, couldn't find the chalk, and I was like, oh no, there's no chalk, I'm meant to be drawn on this board. Then because I was thinking about that, I lost the timing of the dance and the whole thing went terrible. So going out there live, not knowing what's going to happen, and if you fall, like it's on YouTube for the rest of your life, it's on RTE live, like it was, that part of it was so scary.
See, the thing is, I would have put you down as a twinkle toes, like.
Yeah, so did a lot of people. Like even I remember when you get eliminated, you have to go around like the radio station, and went and Ryan Tuberty show, and he was like, I thought, you know, with you going to drama school, it'd be all singing, all dancing, but no, clearly not, or something. I was like, thanks very much.
So would you see online video content as a viable option for aspiring actors? If somebody wanted to get into acting, would you see the online as this a viable outlet for them to put their work out there?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I think you do these online videos, but it's just such a high standard. It's brilliant, like showreel material, and I think everything's leaning more towards this now. So
let's talk TaxiJo. Who does TaxiJo remind you of? Have you ever met anybody like TaxiJo before?
He just hits the nail on the head of like so many taxi drivers that you have met like around Newry, like, and I don't know like specific a person to name, but there's elements of that. But then I see a lot of elements of Granda or Granda. Oh,
do you? Right.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
I do. Yeah.
That's interesting because I've never really put that.
Have you not?
No.
I think like with the he's sort of older school, old generation. You know, your carvery, your pints.
Yeah.
And it's
he's got that wee routine thing.
Yeah, that kind of
Grandad loves his wee routines, doesn't he?
That kind of thing, and real. Just the kind of fella you'd meet propped up at the bar in Newry, you know, in an old bar, like,
yeah.
What does that even mean? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, TaxiJo's a legend, like, and iconic, like, and when I said I was coming on your podcast, someone was like, oh, it's a TaxiJo podcast.
I know, people have asked me that. Imagine doing a whole podcast. Actually, no, I think 5 minutes of listening to TaxiJo's enough. Who's going to listen to that for an hour? Making on like a rambling idiot.
I think there is a fan base for that.
I think I'd end up in the mental institution if I done an hour one of them every week.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks very much for getting involved with the web series and different things you got. It was a really long process for us to make that episode, wasn't it?
I really liked the character, and I liked the contrast between her and TaxiJo, and I think that's where a lot of the comedy lies. And a lot of TaxiJo, the passengers he picks up, on like the contrast between his world and his madness and who he's picking up. I
think the airport one was the first one I wrote. Now I went through several different drafts, like, and I always wanted to do the airport run episode because it's like the stereotypical journey for a taxi man, isn't it? Taking them to the airport. Yeah. And then you're just like, well, who do we get that he's going to take to the airport, but is vastly different to him? And we then developed the character during the rehearsal process, didn't we? Well, I say rehearsal processes, they're more like read-throughs, aren't they? Yeah. And that's where I see particular strength in, you know, I don't do a lot of rehearsing on set because I don't want to like waste or not capture potential energy that you mightn't get again. Yeah. If somebody, you know what it's like when you're an actor. Some actors, you go through peaks and troughs of where your momentum is. Some people, if you're on set and they come out of the gates firing, you know, and their performance is exceptional during the rehearsal, sometimes you might lose that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I know what you mean.
When I'm talking about the rehearsal period, it's more like the two of us getting together, me and the actors getting together and reading through, and it's to see if the dialogue works. Yeah. It's to see if the character works. Yeah. So when we initially had it, the character was English, isn't that right?
Yeah, that is right.
So she was English. Yeah. But so we then done the read through, and it just didn't work really. It felt like an old English sitcom-y type thing, you know, where you've got the posh person and the working class person.
Yeah, a bit too stereotyped.
Yes. So that's where in the read through, we read it through and it wasn't quite working. And then I think it was your idea to have her from the south. I think
it was your idea, Jim.
Was it?
I really do. Yeah.
Well, either of us. Then we came up, and then when you'd done the southern thing, it's like that works far better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a far better opponent for TaxiJo, isn't it? Someone from the south that looks down their nose at people from the north, type of thing.
I thought in my head there was wee elements of character from Derry Girls, and I feel like even with the character I played in a film recently, came from like a big house and all, I'm like, oh, this might be my playing field. You know, she's a little bit up herself, you know.
Yes.
So I felt,
right.
I can draw a bit on that.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. I never made that correlation at all. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And then for me, picking the costumes out, and I know I sent different ones to you for ideas, that really helps. You know, with the buttoned up Mac jacket and the wee wheelie suitcase.
Yes.
Really helped that.
I think the hat as well really made the character, didn't
definitely
it?
Did. But I love that, and I think like her whole like disgusted demeanour, like, you know, TaxiJo and his friend, like, isn't Yuri great and all? Do you know, the way she's like, what are you on about? Like, it just really brought some like good comedy to it. Like it was brilliant scene. I loved it. I loved that it was an airport run as well, and I had a great experience filming that. Like, I had a brilliant day. We had a great time, actually.
Yeah, it was really good fun, wasn't it?
And all the crew, like Anthony and all, they're all so lovely and so down to earth. And then
that's the cool thing, and you know, it just takes so much time and so much work to get these things made.
Yeah.
But if I had the choice, that would be my Monday to Friday job. Like, it would just be constantly, because it's so much fun, isn't it? It doesn't feel like you're at work.
Yeah, that's the same with me with acting. Exactly the same. Like, Derry Girls never felt like work. It's like, oh, this is surreal. Like, I'm getting paid to do what I love. Like, this is unreal. Like, and I'd be the same as you. Like, I'd love it to be my weekly thing.
The airport check-in sequence, where did we shoot that?
Super Value.
I know, like, that was like the hardest bit. It's weird when you look at a script and you see where the challenges are going to be to shoot it, but that was probably the biggest challenge of where am I going to shoot this airport, because you can't do it in an airport because there's people everywhere,
and security probably go
and
mad,
all, you know. And I was thinking, well, could we do it in the butter crane, or, you know, because the butter crane's got them sliding doors and all. I just couldn't think of anything, and then I was just like in my head walking down Super Value, that wee back alley thing, and I was just like,
I've never been there before.
Have you not?
Alley? No, I didn't. No, never.
And I just thought that would look like an airport.
Yeah.
Check it. It's got that
really
ramp feel to it, doesn't it?
It was perfect for it, and even the signage you got for it and all.
I know, I had to go and make the signs,
It
made all
was
them in
perfect.
Photoshop, made them, got them printed, and just run around. And then we were there. We were allowed in at 12 o'clock, and we had to be out by. No, we were let in at 11:30, and we had to be out by 12:30. And it was just a running match.
Yeah, and I was parked outside the front because I'd never been to that entrance to Super Value before, so I was just sitting, and you were like, probably like, where's Leah? Like, we have limited time. Just sitting, living my best life.
Yeah, but it worked out then, didn't it?
It honestly looked so good. But, like, fair play to you, Gino. Honestly, you did an amazing job, and that was so much organising that you had to do. You had to do everything, costumes, call sheets, like, and everyone loved it. And, like, every cinema screening was such a buzz about it, and like so many people came. Like,
it was great. It was great. The airport shoes. You remember the whole
that was hilarious.
The panther over the airport shoes, because we obviously you shoot it out of sequence. You shoot the best way logistically of how to complete your shooting day. So we shot our whole montage out of sequence because we had to shoot a later part of the script in an early part of the day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the bit when I'm running out of the cab and jumping about and I've got a cramp in my foot and I fall over.
Yeah.
And my shoe falls off, right? Yeah. But the problem with that was we shot it all, and then we went down to where TaxiJo's house was supposed to be and shoot outside TaxiJo's house.
Yeah.
By the time we got down to TaxiJo's house and we shot all the stuff where I was hopping about outside the car, I was just like, I should have been in my airport shoes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So initially the airport shoes were supposed to be these big white gutty things.
Yeah.
They're just big trainers. They look that you'd get for like £15 in the market or something. You know what I mean? Or even a tenner, right? So that's what they were supposed to be. So we'd shot all the stuff in my normal shoes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
I was like, because the whole crux of the episode, a big aspect of it was me going back to put on these airport shoes.
Taking up more time and all
So
that.
lucky enough, we come up with the idea on the fly, and this stuff like this happens when you're filming all the time, especially when you're low budget.
does.
You get thrown curveballs all the time, and you just
Yeah.
have to run with it, and you have to figure out ways of, solutions to issues or whatever. So our solution to that was Q had a pair of shoes that looked exactly the same as my normal shoes.
Yeah.
So then the joke was, I'm changing into my airport shoes,
The
but they're
same
just the same,
shoes.
pretty much the same
It's not
shoes.
lucky that he had them shoes in his house.
If we didn't have them shoes, we were screwed.
Yeah.
Because we had loads of. It was just a hard time to make anything, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we had COVID,
Yeah.
lockdowns and all. I mean, like, how many cancellations did we have? 6 or 7 before we actually got the whole thing made.
Yeah.
But thankfully enough, you stuck with it and you
Yeah.
were still there. And every time I cancelled, I was like, I have to cancel on Leah again. Oh my! And then. But you're always there. You're always there to come back, and I'm very, very thankful for that, because when it's like the 7th time, I'm like, she might just go, here, do you want to know something?
Yeah.
I couldn't be bought anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you were stuck there, and you kept involved in the project, which was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was great for me, Gino, too. Like, because I loved having that to look forward to. And, like, as an actor, you're asked all the time, oh, what have you got coming up? What have you got coming up? And I was like, oh, TaxiJo. So it definitely gave me something to look forward to.
You were always so prepared on each of the days. So what was your preparation process like then for the Claudia character?
Yeah, I when I'm rehearsing for a role, I always record the other person's lines on my phone on my voice recorder, and then I pause it and do my line and
That's
play
really
it.
interesting.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the only way I can learn my lines, and I can keep playing it over and over and over and over.
What would you like to achieve in your career? What would be a dream aspiration?
I would like to do a drama, like, I would love to do like an ITV drama, like a crime drama or something a wee bit darker. Now that I've done a bit of comedy, I love shows like that. I love shows like Happy Valley, stuff like that.
So what do you enjoy about acting?
I enjoy the escapism of being someone else, and I think with my mum being a nurse and everything, I have a great empathy for people and their situation, and I love exploring other people's worlds.
And how different is it from other professions?
It's very different in that it's unpredictable and there's never a guarantee. So income can be unpredictable. You never know when your next job is, and it's never guaranteed.
If you had to give anyone advice on acting or getting into acting, what advice would you give to them?
So I would say get involved with as much as you can. So any sort of like local productions, and I would follow lots of things like, theatres and stuff, because sometimes they put out casting calls. Put yourself out there as much as possible to build your CV and build like a show reel. And nowadays, I'm sure, Gino, you probably have experience with being a filmmaker. Now people can create their show reel. So I could come to you and be like, Gino, I want to make a show reel. I want to set it in like a living room. This is what's happened. So you can do that. So you have a video to give. Because a lot of people won't cast you unless they've seen you in something. So that's why it's good to get involved with theatre, so you can write to them. So if you were on stage in Belfast, you could write to a Belfast agent and be like, I'm in this. Can you come watch it? I'd love to, get on your books. And the same with like video footage, so putting yourself out there is really important. And I think follow your gut intuition. Like I can't explain it better than that, other than I knew I was going to be an actor. When I was young, I'd watch shows and I'd reenact them to myself, and I'd be like, that's wild, nobody does that, but it's because I'm meant to be an actor. And I know this is like the most cliche thing I'll say, but you do genuinely just get one life, so why not have a stab at what you love?
Leah, thank you very much for coming in today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Gino.
And until next time, I'll see you after.